Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, November 12th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, Fall River has seen a record number of new COVID-19 cases. We try to get a sense of it all with Mayor Paul Coogan. Meanwhile, COVID has not impacted learning within the Fall River Public Schools. Mayor Coogan would like to see the city develop the Bank Street Armory, and there's activity in bolstering Fall River's arts and culture scene. All that and more coming up. It's been a challenging week here in Fall River as the city has seen a record number of new COVID-19 cases. Wednesday alone saw an increase of 118 cases. During our weekly conversation with Mayor Paul Coogan, the mayor gives us a look at where some of the increases have come, as well as how our local healthcare facilities are handling any new cases.
Well, we're checking. One of our nursing homes got hit. We're working with them today. We'll be calling all the nursing homes to see their status. I was told yesterday in my conversation with the nurse from the Department of Health, there was no young people. It was mostly moved yesterday for some reason to an older group. But I mean, that would be the trends. It is again all over the city. It's spread out. I saw a number of communities in the South Coast are fighting the same thing, and it's a statewide bump. St. Anne's has kind of maintained that same position. They don't keep people that have COVID in the hospital. They move them to one of their sister hospitals. I believe the numbers last week that I saw for the 3 South Coast hospitals were 59 people in the hospital. I think 9 were in intensive care. I had a conversation with Billy Burns the other day. He said, they're obviously keeping a close eye on it, as the governor is with this talk of field hospitals or other sites. But right now, we're doing okay.
We've all dealt with what is called pandemic fatigue, and the mayor points out that because we have faced the pandemic for so long, reactions to it have mellowed as cases are on the rise.
What I seem to see when I'm out in the community now is people are comfortable dealing with it and realizing that there are going to be cases. When it hit us the first time, it was like every case was a shock. Now people are almost kind of resigned to the fact that the numbers are going to spike. I think we're on like an uptick now, and I think it'll naturally go down, hopefully. I talk to people all the time, and there is nothing that they don't really want to hear from a politician anymore, telling them to wash their hands, wear a mask. I mean, it's getting a little redundant, and I think what they want to hear from is the medical professionals telling them this is the medical part of it. Obviously, now also there are additional therapeutics that can help people when they do get COVID. I think that's why you're seeing a decline in the deaths, which is a great thing. So I'm hoping that we can get through this one with a minimum of trouble.
The Massachusetts Department of Public Health last week changed how it categorizes the level of COVID-19 infections within a community based on its population and positive test rate. Fall River is one of 16 communities statewide that sits in the red or high-risk level of infection. Governor Charlie Baker continues to push communities to provide as much in-person education as possible to local students, even while the number of cases of COVID-19 across the Commonwealth is on the rise. Fall River School Superintendent Dr. Matthew Malone provided an update to the school committee this week on the district's hybrid model of remote and in-person learning in the face of an uptick of cases here in Fall River. The rise in cases in Fall River does concern Dr. Malone, with 41 school staff members under quarantine as the end of last week. But overall, the infection rate within our public schools is low.
I think we've shown and we've demonstrated in good faith, and I want to thank everyone for actually delivering on that our plan works. We've been able to open, we've opened safely. I've been able to close schools and classrooms since September 16th based on needs that we may have had as a result of the virus. And we've done that. We've done that successfully. We've also cleaned and deep cleaned and sanitized and provided PPE and cleaning materials and technology and hotspots and food, and you name it, we've done it. And we've done so successfully.
Dr. Malone says at this point there's no need to change course away from the current hybrid learning model.
If you ask me straight up, like, what do you think? The way I'm looking at the year is a week at a time. And we've made it through November 9th. As I said, I would come to you and share with you where we were in our plan. I want to make it through till next week, looking at and monitoring the numbers, and then can continue to go from there. I feel strongly that the model that we're in is there's definitely risk, but through mitigation, I think we've given the best possible outcome to a very challenging time. I believe strongly that in-person learning is superior to remote. From my observations in the field, talking with parents are very happy with what we're doing. Teachers are definitely tired. It's stressful. They're trying, but they're also reporting how worth it all is. So with that, I'll end it with saying, to me, it is worth it, but I'm not going to be stupid and bullheaded, meaning if we see an outbreak and an uptick, we're going to do what we need to do, shut down, clean out, let it sit, and then get back at it. We're going to be smart always.
There is a number of properties under the control of the city of Fall River that are ripe for redevelopment. One of them is the Bank Street Armory. Last month, Mayor Coogan asked the City Council to transfer the sale of the Armory over to the Redevelopment Authority. He says he'd like to see the property converted into a local banquet and entertainment facility.
It's a great place for a wedding, a concert, a craft show. The gentleman that did that was the gentleman we sought out to look at our Bank Street Armory. He came down with his wife from New Hampshire. He's got his own construction company. He owns the Woonsocket Armory. He owns the Pawtucket Armory. He also owns a venue hall in Worcester. So he knows how to make a place shine and pop for a city. If we can get that done, I think the citizens will be very pleased. That building's been dormant for 10 years. He's not looking for money. He's looking to buy it and go in there and renovate it. The question with the RDA and them taking possession of it to sell it versus the city, if the city sells it, we have to go out to a bid. I just want to make sure that we know who's getting it, what their track record is with armories, with institutional buildings like that. And I want to make sure that the place is a show place for the citizens in Fall River. I think that's how we link economic development. Like I said, it'd be nothing better than seeing a bunch of people going downtown after COVID, attending a show at the Bank Street Armory, or going to a high-end craft fair, or anything, any kind of a civic event, a dance competition. We can put anything in there if we make the place a show place, and that's my intent.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Emergency Medical Technician, Brewster Ambulance Service, located at 5 Probber Lane, is looking for a full or part-time emergency medical technician, responsible for the safe and efficient response, treatment, and transport of all persons requesting emergency medical service. Job number 142-07226. Management Assistant Leasing Consultant, First Realty Management, located at 1 Adams Court, is in need of a part-time management assistant leasing consultant to provide customer service to site residents, responding to their needs and assisting them with site services for a large apartment complex. Job number 142-04214. Warehouse Operator, Invigen Pharmaceuticals, located at 927 Current Road, is seeking a full-time warehouse operator responsible for receipt and dispensing of raw materials, packing materials, and storing finished goods. Job number 141-99673. People Incorporated, located at 4 South Main Street, is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Sanitation Maintenance Associate, job number 141-99567. Individual Home Support, job number 141-95516. Cresco Labs, located at 1 West Street, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Packaging Manager, job number 141954441. Processing Manager, job number 141955920. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. The city of Fall River celebrated Veterans Day this week. On Tuesday, Mayor Coogan joined other officials in laying a wreath at a memorial honoring those Fall River servicemen who gave their lives in protecting America.
From the Spanish-American War to World War I to World War II to Vietnam, Korea, and to present day, Fall River has sacrificed its sons and daughters in the fight for freedom. On this wall are the names of Fall River residents who lost their life serving our country. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. We ask you to join us in celebrating the freedoms that they fought and earned for us. Today, we place a wreath in their memory. Mayor Coogan, please.
Hello. Obviously, we're here to honor all the people that paid the ultimate sacrifice defending our country. And in that regard, we'll read this official proclamation. Since the Commonwealth's colonial days, thousands of men and women have served their country in defense of freedom and liberty. On November 11th, 1918, the armistice was signed in the forest of Campigny by the Allied nations. Since that day, every November, people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans. There are approximately 388,000 veterans right now living in Massachusetts. And today, we were reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions our veterans have made to our country. We honor and salute those who served our country through the generations with honor, patriotism, and courage. It is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who served their country, so that their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder to the cost of freedom. In November of 2020, the world will commemorate the 102nd anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m. on November 11th in 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Fall River, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2020 to be Veterans Day.
We release these doves today, representing the Holy Trinity, and peace and love for our veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
Elevating arts and culture opportunities in the city took a leap forward as it was announced last week that funding has been made available to develop the Fall River Arts and Culture Coalition. The coalition was established in 2019, bringing together more than 40 members of the community dedicated to devising initiatives in arts and culture as a process toward improving the livability of those in Fall River and attracting and retaining business. Seed funding for the coalition has been provided by Bay Coast Bank, the South Coast Community Foundation, Bank 5, St. Anne's Credit Union, and Portugalia Marketplace. The state has also committed $50,000 to the project. As part of the announcement, the coalition will be working with urban planning organization Civic Moxie to devise an arts and culture master plan for Fall River. Civic Moxie founder and principal Susan Silberberg says Fall River has an engaged arts and culture community through which the development of the plan will take shape.
Typically, there are a number of key phases within the project. We're going to start with thinking, really doing an assessment. So it's really kind of information gathering phase where we're looking at stakeholders, we're looking at cultural assets, the initiatives that are going on in the city, understanding city demographics, and what's happening. And then we at that same time are beginning to do outreach and gathering information together. And then as we look at all of that, we're working in terms of developing what we hear along with the committee and the community, what a vision is, and developing specific goals and actions. And then from that point, also developing some metrics for success. And during that whole scope, one of the things that we do is to really meet with those who might be responsible for implementation. So those could be local arts groups, certainly city departments that might be involved in one way or the other, this plan might affect. Others, potential funders, and we're kind of testing key ideas along the way. And I say that because it answers the question of implementation. We won't develop a plan with you and then at the end say, how will it be implemented? Everything kind of comes along in an iterative fashion so that there are no surprises and everyone's working together to understand these are the pathways forward. These are possible funding sources. These are things that we're doing right now that we can overlay to get to an implementation of the plan. And it will be very important at some point early in the process to begin to define who is going to kind of own the oversight of the plan. It doesn't mean that they do everything, but they're kind of keeping track of what's happening. They're pushing things forward and they're doing kind of annual report cards of what might be, what is being accomplished.
Fall River resident Devin Torres has been hired as coordinator for the coalition. She will serve as the coalition's point person on the development of the master plan, which is expected to take approximately 10 months. Even though there may still be some questions lingering nationally from last week's election, when we go back to the polls in 2 years to vote for Congress and state officials, the districts from which we do so may have changed based on the recently completed U.S. Census. Regional Director Jeff Baylor tells us how this will all play out.
The one date that's under law is December 31st of 2020. And unless there's some change, by that date, we have to provide to the President of the United States the apportionment counts. It's really the population by state. And that's information that's used to determine how many seats each state will have in Congress. So we provide that data by December 31st to the President and then to Congress. And then shortly after that, again, assuming the deadlines remain as they are, by the end of March, by April 1st, basically, we provide the apportionment count state files to each state so they can start their redistricting efforts. And then after that, we'll start releasing data to the public, at higher levels, the larger cities, and then we'll start releasing additional data that looks at age distribution or race and ethnicities, home ownership, those type of things in spring into the summer of next year.
We'll take a break and wrap up FRC Media News right after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Cheyenne. Cheyenne here is a 10-year-old lady. She's a very sweet girl, a little bit shy though. That's why I'm holding her right now. You may hear a little peeps from her as she feels a little bit uncomfortable right now. But like I said, very sweet. She was living with her past owner for about 10 years. She is a very sweet girl who very much likes, affection, that sort of thing. As far as like what kind of home she would be best in, a calmer kind of home would be best. Preferably no kids or maybe older kids, as long as they're not too raucous. Dogs would be a bad idea for her. I think they would just stress her out too much. If you're thinking that you're the special person to take Cheyenne home and give her some love in her twilight years, come on down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Today we have Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson is a Chihuahua. He's probably between 1 and 2 years old. We're not too sure, that's a guess. He was a stray. Mr. Wilson can have a bit of an attitude. Mr. Wilson is a great guy. He just needs a good home with a loving hand who can teach him that, he doesn't have to feel defensive. He doesn't have to feel like he has to be on guard. He's in a safe space and people love him. So if you have the patience and you want to take the time to show Mr. Wilson that he's a great guy and he doesn't have to worry, head on over to foreverpaws.com to fill out an application, and once it's approved, we can give you a call to come over to our shelter down at 300 Linwood Street and meet Mr. Wilson.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Check out our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and information, as well as what's playing on Channel 95. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. We leave you this week with a look back at this week's Veterans Day motorcade across the city of Fall River. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.